Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Looks like we still have a couple people still trickling into the webinar. Thank you very much for everyone that set aside some time to join us this afternoon. If I could ask, if someone could just click the raise hand tool to ensure that you can hear us okay, that'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, looks good. Appreciate that. And yeah, I guess by the way of introductions, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. My name is Dan Petito. I am an inside account manager here with DesignPoint Solutions. I'm also joined by my colleague, Roy Mutalik. Roy is an application engineer here with DesignPoint and our SolidWorks composer expert. Roy, are you with us?
Yep, I'm here, Dan.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So, yeah, again, today, basically, we're going to be talking about SolidWorks Composer. Graphical content, assembly instructions. It's a tool that helps create technical documentation and technical communication. So, yeah, again, thank you again for joining us. Just going to run through just kind of a quick snapshot and overview of, what we kind of plan on running through today, and just kind of give you a brief introduction as to what SolidWorks Composer is. And, Roy's obviously going to walk us through a little bit of a technical demonstration worked into the webinar as well. So thanks for putting that together, Roy. And, yeah, so what is SolidWorks Composer? At its heart, it's a publication tool. A few different things. So basically what it's helping you to do is create faster, easier graphical content. There may be a number of different ways that you're doing this today, whether it involves SolidWorks or your existing CAD tool. Probably doing it very manually today. Different ways you can use it. So, how does your product work? How do you assemble it? How do you use it in a real-world environment? And how do you service it? So, we're going to kind of show how it, repurposes existing design data, allowing for quicker time to market. So, being able to begin the technical documentation process earlier on in the product development phase. And another big benefit, no need to really have existing SolidWorks knowledge. We have a lot of instances where sales and marketing departments are leveraging Composer for sales guides and product manuals. So don't necessarily have to be an engineer to be able to use and kind of get acclimated to the software, which is a great benefit. We actually went ahead and put together a couple polls throughout the webinar. So certainly very eager to get everyone's feedback of how you're doing this sort of stuff today, and obviously match that up against the backdrop of Composer. So without further ado, let's keep on moving. And Roy, did you want to just kind of touch on this, just in terms of overview?
Yeah. So what Dan and I are going to take you through here today is an example of several of the tasks that some of you guys will be doing back end, and how we can do that with Composer. So we'll go through examples of a grill here, working with creating marketing images and sales images, how we create images for some of our publications, our kind of how-to guides, our maintenance guides, our assembly instructions, things like that. And sort of a part of that would be how would you create sort of a parts list for that. And we'll kind of close with how you would handle the design process and finalization of the design with respect to the documentation. So that's sort of what we'll just take you through here today with our webinar here.
Awesome. Thanks, Roy. And, yeah, so just a quick poll. Everyone obviously appreciate your participation in terms of just getting feedback of how this is currently done today. So, how do you guys currently create visual content, marketing, manuals, guides, things like that? So, screenshots from existing CAD, some type of rendering software. Are you waiting for physical prototypes or some other way? Obviously, no need to be specific, but we'd certainly appreciate your feedback. How are you guys doing this sort of thing today?
All right. Looks like most of you guys have answered here. Looks like we're getting a pretty even split kind of across the board here with these answers here. Screenshots from CADs and waiting for prototype there.
Okay.
Seem to be what we're looking at. So
thank you, everyone, for your participation. And just as an FYI, I know that these polls could be a platform that generates some questions. So if you wouldn't mind, it'd be helpful if we can table any of those questions till after the webinar. We will reserve some time at the end for Roy and I to answer those questions. Again, we realize some of these questions and polls could generate some questions. So if you wouldn't mind bearing with us, we greatly appreciate it.
All right. So that being said, let's jump ahead and take a look at how we would create some of this visual content. And I'm going to show you how this would be done in Composer and give you an idea of how quick and easy it would be to do that. So let's jump over to that. And I'm actually going to start here with SolidWorks itself. So this could be any kind of CAD program here. I'm using SolidWorks, obviously. And I've got my model here. And in this example, we're using this grill assembly. And actually, what I'm going to do, just to simplify things a little bit here, I'm going to look at a subassembly of this here, just this kind of side table. And that's what we're going to be working on here today. And we want to create some of those marketing images and images for publications from this. So what I'll actually do is utilize this in Composer. So I'm going to go ahead and actually close all this down. And I'll switch over to Composer at this point. And this is SolidWorks Composer. And what I'm going to do is just a simple file open right from Composer here. And I'll browse out here and find my assembly. So this is the same SolidWorks assembly file that we just had open before. It's not an explicit Composer file or anything like that just yet. I'm just doing a direct open of that right within the software. I'll set a couple of my options really quickly here, and we'll let this guy go ahead. And what we'll see here is Composer itself will actually run its own converter, where it's going to launch SolidWorks in the background, open those files, and turn them right into something that Composer can look at here. And sure enough, without having to do anything else, we can open our assembly right here in SolidWorks Composer. So really, it is quick and easy to be able to pull those files across. So we're in Composer here, which again is our tool for creating these this publication tool. So let's look at that and do a couple of operations here, sort of begin our process, give you an idea of how this would work. So Composer works on creating views. So it is a 3D model that we're looking at, but at the end of the day, what we're outputting is 2D views of this. So creating a view is as simple as orienting your model and snapping a view right here on the left. And there we go. We've got our first view here. Within Composer, we have a lot of control over what we can actually do with the geometry, or as they call it, actors. So we'll take a look at that first with some render styles. So I can choose from a variety of different render modes here. So I'll go ahead and pick a couple of these here. We can see maybe something like a smooth with outline there. Maybe we want to use something like a flat technical. Look at sort of the underside there. Maybe we'll look at from a different angle here, and we'll use a smooth here, and we'll change some of our lighting as well. So we can play with our lighting mode here. So maybe we like that one here. Maybe we'll come from a slightly different angle here. And what I'll do is I'll play with the background a little bit here as well. So we're using a white background. Maybe instead I'll use sort of a gradient here with the bottom being black in color there. I can also enable several other effects here, maybe per pixel lighting, for example, and some shadows on the model itself. I can also enable a ground below the model and shadows on that ground there. So you can see very quickly and easily we can create these very nice, crisp images here. And I'll go ahead and capture one of these guys as well here to create those kind of sales and marketing documents here. Let's capture a couple more. So now we see we've captured 6 different views here. These views are all dynamic here. I can quickly and easily switch between any of those views that I created. And you can see how it reorients the model. It changes my render style there. Whatever I had set in that view, it dynamically is changing about my model. So it's very quick and easy to kind of move between those there. So we can very quickly and easily create many different views, a variety of options that we'll have to work with there. I'm going to create one more here, sort of a silhouette view, maybe something more for use later when we create a more technical drawing. So I'll go ahead and switch this guy to something like silhouette here. And let me reorient this a little bit and capture that one as well here. So we saw sort of how we could create some of our sales and marketing images there, and obviously just scratching the surface of some of the effects that we can play with here. But what if we wanted to create more of a technical image? Maybe something like an exploded view where we would show what components are in this, or maybe how this would be assembled. So we can take a look at that here. SolidWorks Composer brings in all your CAD geometry, but you'll notice that it doesn't have any mates or anything like that or any constraints. And it just looks at each actor or part as kind of in place as it is. But that makes it very quick and easy for us to be able to move items around. All I have to do is pick on an item here, and I can translate it however I'd like, or rotate it however I'd like there. And again, because there are no mates, when I'm done rotating or translating it, I can actually just tell it to restore the neutral position there. And that'll put that actor back to where it was before. It's sort of the only information that it captures with it. With this comes a great amount of freedom in how we can kind of manipulate our geometry. So I'll show you an example here. I'll go ahead and use this linear explode tool right within Composer here. And I'll select what I'd like to explode here. In this case, I'll pick all the assembly except for my knobs there. And I'll just go ahead and quickly and easily just drag on this right here, and we can see it automatically will explode those items linearly for me. So very quick and easy to create that exploded view here. I'll finish this off by just moving those knobs as well with just the standard translate command here. And we'll just go ahead and pull those ones up as well. So now we can see the beginnings of our exploded view there. But that's by no means the limit to Composer. When creating these technical drawings for some of our publications or assembly guides, we often need to call something out, arrows or notes, etc. And we can do that directly within Composer as well. So there's no need to take it into a separate software. On a separate tab here, I have the ability to create all of these annotative actors as well here. So I can easily create labels here. I can create lines to connect items, or in this case, arrows. So you can see I can quickly and easily drag and create an arrow, showing it on the model, and simply pointing to whatever I'd like there. However, Composer is using our 3D CAD, and we can really leverage that with these arrows as well. Let me just get rid of this one here. What I'm going to do is define an arrow here, and instead of just placing it on the model, I'm going to use a key on my keyboard here to tell it to detect curves in the model itself. And maybe we'll pick one of these cylinders here, and I'll actually snap it right to the face of the cylinder. And now we can see we can create that arrow as if it's right on the axis of that cylinder there. And click and place that one there. So we can easily infer from our geometry items as well and get everything to line up just the way that we want. I can customize these arrows kind of however I'd like, make it thinner here. I can change kind of the shape of the head there. And I can come over to the properties even and change some of the colors. So maybe we'll make it blue in color there. I'll also enable this, or disable rather, this stay on top option. And that'll make it actually look like it's kind of going through these items here, going right through the middle of those, showing how we're putting those pieces together. And lastly, the beauty of this is since I inferred that model edge there and creating it, or axis of that cylinder, this is actually dynamic. It's not just like creating it in some kind of 2D software where if we rotated the model, we'd be in trouble here. As I rotate this, we'll see the arrow truly is going right through the middle of that there. So if you decide that you can't quite see what you're looking for and you need to create a slightly different orientation, it's as easy as just rotating the model there. And you can see my actors themselves in the form of these arrows will automatically update for us. So really a great way of being able to create those annotated drawings for your publications there. Show assembly instructions, show maintenance, things like that. So we'll just save this view here so that we'll be able to come back to it at some point. and we would be good to go from there. Let's discuss one more item here. Maybe we want to do a detail view, show kind of zoom in on certain regions, or maybe highlight certain aspects of this model itself here. So I'm going to jump over to one of my other views by just activating it here. And we can use a tool in Composer here called the digger to be able to dig down into my model and take a look at some of the aspects of it there. So I'll just go ahead and launch the digger there. And we can see what it does is it's just a magnifying glass essentially here to allow me to look at whatever I'd like. And currently it's looking just right behind it here. I'll enable some of my digger tools here, and the first thing I can do is actually grab a center of interest. And I'll actually drag this guy so that we're looking at this burner itself. And this digger has within it several different tools here. So right now we're just doing a zoom, so I can choose how much I'm zooming in or out. We also have the ability to use a cutting plane, so we can kind of do a section of this, cut directly back in the orientation of that, really cut back and see what's going on inside there, like a section view. We can also do X-ray or onion skin, where we're kind of peeling away layers of this here. You can see the X-ray is kind of ghosting items that are further back here, and the onion skin will actually just hide and show items directly there. So we can kind of peel away the items we don't want to see there and focus on just what we're looking for. Finally, when we've got what we're looking for here, I can just go ahead and right from here capture this image, and we'll see that right there available to us. And now this is a static image here, so I can kind of rotate my model however I'd like, and it's going to maintain that detail view there, showing whatever I was calling out in that digger. So very quick and easy to capture kind of whatever view we're looking for there, using digger tool, using some of our actors there as well to annotate and call out whatever you need to draw attention to there. Finally, when we're done creating all these images, maybe let's take a look at this one of our marketing images here. We can output them very easily from Composer as well. And we'll do that through a workshop here. Workshops are just Composer's way of grouping together similar commands. So I'm going to use this high-resolution image workshop here to output this. So I'll just go ahead and make some changes to this here. We can enable anti-aliasing or an alpha channel if you want it to have kind of that clear background, if you're taking it into some other software there. And I'll just up some of my resolutions here a little bit to make my image quality look a little nicer here. And we'll go ahead and save this image out. And just like that, we'll be able to see this image here. I'll go ahead and open it up for you. So there's our nice high-quality sales or marketing brochure image that I output from Composer here just in a couple minutes right in front of your guys' eyes. So you can see it's really quick and easy to create what we're looking for here in Composer, certainly much faster than working within your CAD program there and creating those kind of screenshots here.
Awesome, Roy. Awesome. It seems like there's a good deal of flexibility too in terms of where you're positioning some of these trail arrows. Using the digger tool to spotlight certain features or certain places of emphasis in these models. So yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for running through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we see there. Some easy manipulation of our geometry. Easy to capture multiple render modes, and as Dan said, it really is a lot of flexibility in everything we've done there.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, so I guess to keep up with the consistency, obviously, we're eager to hear how you guys are doing a lot of this stuff today. So, piggybacking on this approach, so, how do you guys currently create a parts list at this point now? Are you doing it from your CAD bombs, screenshots and spreadsheets, perhaps some sort of other manual process? You can obviously take a second to share your thoughts. We'd greatly appreciate it, and we'll keep on moving with the webinar. Looks like a very high percentage is on option 1 from their CAD bombs.
All right, I'll go ahead and close out this poll. Yeah, we've got most of you guys answered here. Yeah, it looks like the overwhelming majority is from the CAD bill of materials, and certainly that's where you're going to get a lot of this information from in a way, but it's inefficient. You need to organize things that way. You're creating another drawing for that. So how about we take a look at how we would create a parts list, sort of something we hadn't quite touched on in Composer here. So let's switch over and take a peek at that here. I'm going to switch back to my view here that I created, the exploded view, and we'll look at how we can create a bill of materials in this, sort of as a parts list. So right within Composer itself, I have the ability to do that, to generate IDs for each of these parts and call out a bill of materials. And it again lives in one of my workshops here, this BOM workshop. So what we can have Composer do is compare properties or geometry here, and it's automatically assigned what they call BOM IDs. So just their tags, the way of tagging items in the software and calling out what's what. So I'll go ahead and do that here. I'll select for the entire assembly here, and I'll just go ahead and generate my BOM IDs here. And looking at these here in my BOM tab, we can see it's automatically created BOM IDs for each of the different parts we have here. So again, we can see we have 2 control knobs here. For example, we have a quantity of 2 on those control knobs right here. So it shows it nicely right on the left side pane here in my BOM tab, and allows us to work with it from there. So we can manipulate this. Any customizations, any changes that we need to make can be done right from here. And when we're ready to go, it's as easy as showing or hiding our BOM table right from here. And sure enough, there it is, right at the bottom of the screen here. I'll go ahead and click on this and make some changes to its properties. So instead of on the bottom here, maybe I can make it kind of free-floating, or on the left side of the screen there. I can change sort of the size of it from here, the text size from here as well. Oh, it looks like I'm locked here. Let me make it free-floating, and then we'll see that, how I can kind of customize that text size as well there, and create that BOM table very easily there, creating a full parts list for us. In addition, we can very easily create callouts as well for our individual parts here based on this BOM that we've created. So again, I'll simply just create callouts for this here. Oop, and I got to go ahead and select all my actors again here. So I'll just grab them right from my assembly tree. If you guys are familiar with CAD, you're very familiar with having a tree structure like this. And we'll go ahead and just create our callouts there. So very quickly and easily, we can create these callouts for us here. And I can manipulate these however I'd like there. I'll go ahead and select all of these callouts here, and I can change some of the properties of those as well here. So we can change how they're aligned here, kind of keep them close to the items there, all on the bottom, all on maybe the right side here, or kind of leave them free to kind of go however they'd like there. So very quickly and easily can create these callouts as well for that bill of materials. We've got several great organizational tools as well for this here. So I can draw these magnetic lines here, which will allow me to snap these callouts right onto it here. And a great way of kind of organizing those as well, making your nice clean drawings here, balloon drawings, just very easy to create. So I'll just pull a couple more of these over, and we can see that kind of result. In addition, we can customize items of these callouts individually. So maybe I'll select on callout number 10 here, and I can change, for example, the text color to red, something like that. And maybe we want to change how it's attaching here. So it's all very easy to change right from these properties here. And I can apply that to several different callouts here, or even across different documents here. So you can maintain your company standards there using some of our styles here. So our styles is just saving the properties for different items here. So I'll just do a quick style on number 10 here, and call this something here. And then we can quickly and easily grab a different item here and apply that style to it here. So you can see how easy it is for me to grab each of these different items here and simply apply that style to it. So we don't ever have to worry about consistency in that either. It's always going to look the same as long as we subscribe to these styles here. So a lot of great tools here to allow us to create exactly the drawings we're looking for. Another nice feature I'm going to turn on here, I'm going to click on this bomb, and I'm going to enable this property called model highlighting. And what this will allow me to do is if I actually hover over an item in the bill of material here, they'll highlight on the model what we're looking at there. So again, easier even than callouts to be able to see really what's what in your parts list there. And the beauty of all of this is also in the outputs of it. So in the previous example here, we had done an output of just 2D images here. And that's sort of what we can do here, but Composer isn't limited to just image files, JPEGs or bitmaps, things like that. We can also create scalable vector graphics. So let's take a look at that here. I'm going to use instead this time a technical illustration output here, and we'll be able to output that SVG file, which is great for use on things like websites. Set some of the options there, and make sure we enable some of our color regions there. And we'll go ahead and save this guy out as well. I'll just take a minute there to save. And now if I go ahead and open this guy up here in a browser, we can see that scalable vector graphics here. And again, we have that bill of material highlighting enabled as well. So we can see, imagine having something like this embedded right in your website there to kind of explain assembly instructions or, what part is what there. It's great for both that publication stuff as well as even the sales and marketing as well here, embedded right in your website. So that's creating parts lists. It's very quick and easy there. Bill of materials, parts lists. We can see automatic creation of those, intelligent callouts, and scalable vector graphics as an output format, which is certainly a great thing as well. All right, so just one more thing we're going to touch on here quickly here, and I've just got one more poll for you guys as well here.
So, yeah, everyone, again, thanks for sticking with us. Obviously, there's so much that we could go over in Composer, just, in one or two things that it does. And it does a lot more. But, just in terms of getting some additional feedback, how are you guys, how do your publications handle changes as a result of the design process? Again, eager to get your feedback. Are you going image by image and making changes? Are you completely reworking your documentation, or are you waiting till the product is finalized to then begin the publications? Again, we appreciate your feedback and taking a minute to answer these. Looks like we have a three-way tie.
Yep, it's pretty split even. I should mention these are the most common answers that I get when asking this question is one of these things. Maybe I should have left a box for other here on this one.
Yep. But it looks like it's somewhat of a split with image by image, slightly edging out the others. But yeah, thank you everyone for participating.
Let me close this guy out here. So the point with this poll is to bring up that it largely is a manual process. If your designers decide, hey, we needed to change something, all of those publications that you've created are suddenly out of date and need to be updated. And unfortunately, you just have to go through and make those changes. But let's take a peek at how that happens in Composer here. And this is definitely a very powerful aspect of the software here. So let me jump into Composer, that one here. And I missed it. There it is. All right. So here we are in Composer, and we're going to make a design change to this here. So I'll actually look at this view for it. And what we're actually going to do is sub out these control knobs for slightly different ones here. And I'll do that right in SolidWorks, actually. So let's do that. I'll go ahead and open up that assembly we were working on before here. And I'm going to switch out those control knobs here. So I'll just get rid of the old ones here quickly, and I'll put in my new ones. Just kind of simulating this process here by I'm actually suppressing and unsuppressing items. But I'll go ahead and save down this document here. And now let's jump back to Composer here. So our publications that we've created here, our images, don't match up as of right now. But all we have to do to fix that, if I just go up to File in the top here, I can choose to update. And actually, I just need to save my document before it'll let me update here. All right. So now that we've saved this Composer document, I can go ahead and update it from the SolidWorks document. So an important key there, we did actually save out a Composer document, which is separate. But again, it fully interfaces right with the SolidWorks document here, as I'm doing an update right from a SolidWorks assembly here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll just pick this assembly and go ahead and say update. And it'll take a minute again to do that import there, taking a peek at SolidWorks. And just like that, we can see the parts update. You can see our now red control knobs. And it's actually updated in all of our images here. So any one of these items that I pick here, we'll see that update. So it maintains those orientations, those rendering modes, everything like that. But the new part is now in its place. So it's as simple as a file update operation to request changes or show changes in your documentation there. And really, that's it. You know, we don't have to go back and rework images. Any of those arrows that we had created that were interfacing with geometry would come right along as well. So it really is a powerful tool in that sense there. You don't have to wait until the end of your design process to begin your documentation. Any changes that we create along the way will come right through. So that's all I had to show you guys with that one there. So let's see that. So what we see, again, with Composer, automatic update of all views from just an update command. So no need to rework your images there. And again, the key with this is we're starting our content generation here during the design cycle. We don't have to wait until all of our products are finalized. We're not waiting for prototypes to be created. We're just ready to go as soon as we've got a structure of it here. We can start snapping views in Composer and off with it there.
Yeah, and that's important to emphasize too, right? Really, just obviously, a lot of folks that are waiting until the design process is done to create a lot of this technical communication. It could be extremely time-consuming, like Roy mentioned earlier. I mean, a lot of these changes getting done at the end versus while you're doing a lot of these designs. Having this process go hand in hand is obviously going to save a lot of time and obviously save you from going back and have to do a lot of these reworks. So both time and money savings for certain. So awesome. Thanks for running through that, Roy. Just some, kind of other interactive technical communications. Obviously, we kind of just somewhat scratched the surface in terms of what Composer's capabilities are and, other different applications are for it. So, Roy, certainly feel free to piggyback on anything that I touch on here, but, animations and interactive content. Obviously maybe using a lot of these 3D models on your website. A lot of our customers are using for those purposes. So things like, part lists and guides, which, we sort of touched on how the bill of materials and the parts lists kind of integrate and are used and leveraged within Composer. Things like online experiences, and similar to, what I'd mentioned before in terms of using for, website and kind of graphical content. Creating exploded views of your parts list and automatically associating that with your bill of materials. And technical publications, so things like product manuals, sales guides, marketing collateral, how your parts are assembled and serviced, and things like that. I'm not sure if Roy, maybe you wanted to add or build on any of that stuff that I may have missed.
No, absolutely, Dan. I think you hit it on the head there. We just scratched the surface. In a half-hour webinar, I don't have enough time to show you everything that it can do, but really any kind of content that you guys need for your websites. For these manuals that you're creating, we can output it from Composer. The animations and that interactive content is definitely the most difficult to show, but we can create assembly instructions as animations there and show and have the user interact with it. So they can click to unscrew an item, and then you'll see the control knob will come off. It really is powerful stuff there, we can really do it all with Composer. It's a complete tool for our publication needs there.
Excellent. So, again, I guess with that being said, obviously in summary we did talk about a lot, and I appreciate you guys participating with us and sharing some information on how you do a lot of this stuff today. It's helpful for us too because, feedback of, how you guys are using this stuff and, how you might envision, something like Composer, basically being leveraged in your business to help with a lot of this sort of stuff is helpful. So we certainly appreciate the feedback. I guess now would be a good time to pause for questions if you guys had any. Obviously we want to take a minute or two just to, again, answer questions you might have as we went throughout the webinar, and Roy and I will take a minute or two to get those answered in the event you have them. So let us know if you have any questions, and maybe we'll pause for maybe 30 seconds just to get any of those answered if you guys have any. And certainly, if nothing comes to mind now, and something comes up at some point later in the week, or as you had a chance to digest what we went over today, feel free to reach out to me. My email address and phone number is at the bottom here. So, again, anything that any questions that come up at any point moving forward, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to us or to myself. I don't see any questions coming in at this point, so I will assume we did a fantastic job, Roy. And yeah, thank you so much again for joining us. Apologies if we went a little bit over. Again, we did barely scratch the surface with what Composer is capable of. So with that being said, we look forward to putting together some more educational webinars. And as we move forward and put together more webinars on Composer, obviously we look forward to putting together additional information that we didn't touch on today to share with you guys. So thank you very much again. I actually see a question come in. Roy, can you see that okay?
Yeah. So the question is, does this create manuals or only one-page documents? And really, so that's a good question, and something we sort of didn't touch on here. What is your process of creating these with Composer? Composer is the tool that you're going to use to create the content itself. If you're assembling, say, for example, a manual, a how-to manual or an assembly manual or maintenance instruction manual, something like that, you would want to use some other system to kind of pull it all together for the text there, something like Microsoft Word. But what we can do is we're going to output all of our images from Composer. And again, just scratch the surface, something I wish I had time to show you. There's a way to do that with a parametric link. So when we do that model update, right within your Word document, those images update as well. So, don't think that even if we're doing this in some kind of outside process like Word, that everything is now static from that. We can do that with all the links as well. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, again, feel free to shoot Dan an email with some clarification there, and we'll definitely follow up with you.
Thank you for your question, David. Any other questions while we're on here? And again, thank you all for your participation and giving us some insight and feedback in the polls. It's greatly appreciated. Yeah, David, if a follow-up is needed, certainly feel free to reach out. Happy to run through anything in more detail. That being said, again, thank you so much for the time this afternoon. Thank you, Roy, for running through the technical stuff. And we look forward to putting something great together for you next time. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.